As I was just really starting a journey at Harvest of really not just saying I'm a Christian, but really learning how to be a Christian, living a Christian life looks like. I was clueless really. I mean, I hadn't really read the Word, or if I did, I didn't really understand why you should do these things, or follow these different things that it says in the Bible. It was only my second year teaching. I taught school for children with severe disabilities, with autism specifically. So I was a newbie right out of college, and still learning the ropes of how to deal with these kids, and working and all of these things. And it can get pretty wild in the classroom. I mean, these children are just, the way I love to describe them is it's kind of like working with popcorn. They're just pop, pop, pop. They're going all day long. And so learning how to set up your classroom in such a way so that you can cultivate that energy into learning, and harness it, and being able to feed that energy so that they're able to, attain and retain information that you're trying to teach them. And throughout the day, it is exhausting, but it's so fun, and I loved it. Pastor Bobby said, well, have you ever thought about praying over your room and anointing it with oil? And of course, like I said, I was brand new to all this, so I'm thinking, anointing it with oil, I don't even know what that means. Why would you even do it? And he talked about how the Word says that, when it's just a symbolic act of setting it apart, of consecrating it and setting it apart for God, and saying, God, this is yours, you can have it. So I got my oil, and went to my classroom. I'd go early, and I would just put the oil, over the door, and I would put the oil on every child's desk. And nobody would be there, no children, no teachers, no anything. I would just get there a little bit early and just pray and say, Lord, I just pray for wisdom. I just pull wisdom down from the heavenlies, that it will just hover in this classroom. Soon after I began doing that, I even probably the first day I did it, I noticed that the atmosphere was different. There was a peace that was in that room. There was a calmness that was in that room. I noticed that my children had an easier time doing simple things like sitting in their chairs for longer amounts of time. And over time, seeing, golly, they just seem to be picking up things, faster than they were. One of the students, for instance, was nonverbal, could not speak, and had a real hard time controlling his anger. He was abusive because he couldn't communicate. It was very frustrating for him. And he actually had a big bald spot on his head from where he would hit his head out of frustration. And we had a certain machine that gave you a big hug, and he loved getting in that machine, because when he got that big hug, it would kind of squeeze your shoulders like this. It releases serotonin in the brain, which is a natural calming neurotransmitter. This student just loved that apparatus where you could get a big hug in order to calm himself down, because he knew that he didn't have the power to calm himself down. He didn't have the coping skills to do it himself, and he needed that help. And so I taught him, to cross his arms across his chest and say, in the midst of him being angry, I would try to get his attention and say hug, and immediately I would do it myself over him, and then take him to the machine. So he began to make that connection. Oh, when I do this, she takes me there. And he learned how to do that, and he learned very quickly. And it grew into from hug to other things that he enjoyed doing. And so that communication frustration was very much decreased, and he had a full head of hair. He wasn't hitting his head anymore, and that was just a real testimony that I actually used to speak about. When we were raising funds for the sensory complex that's out at this school, so it really ministered to a lot of people. And I just know that it was God, that His presence was just there helping me, get that wisdom to those kids quickly. And that year, as a kind of a side bonus, I actually received Teacher of the Year that year. And it's voted on by your colleagues, and it was just a real honor, because I was only 24 years old, and my second year teaching. I mean, who knows what they're doing? Their second year teaching. And but it was a real blessing, because I felt like it was another way of God just saying, hey, you know, we make a great team. When you just, you know, let this thing go, just die to this thing, you know, and release it to me, even in faith, even when you don't know what you're doing, you know, you're just doing what my word says and trusting in that, that I'm just going to blow the lid off for you.